Hey everyone, it's Kat, and today I am talking about some of the things I've learned through project panning. So I put up my project pan intro to my 2025 project, I think it was last week. And when I was doing the title and the thumbnail and stuff like that, I realized I have officially been project panning for 10 years. So I started my first video, my first project pan video, which is now on private because it's crap, but it was mid-January 2015, which is crazy. Not only does it make me feel old, but I can't believe I've been panning that long. It doesn't seem like it's been such an ingrained habit that I formed, but obviously it is. So in the past, I have done the odd video giving tips about project panning. One that is a couple of years old, but I think it's still very relevant, so I'll link that somewhere. You can find it if you want. But for this video, I decided to reflect on what I've learned through project panning over the past decade and share with you some insights. So the first thing I learned, which I think is very valuable, and it's something that you probably don't feel until you start doing it, is that using your makeup can be just as satisfying as buying new makeup. Now, we're in the makeup sort of sphere. We're obviously interested. We're consumers. Once you get into that, it can be you get that sort of dopamine rush buying something new, and it can become very costly down the track, and you end up leaving yourself with all this makeup and products that you're not really using, and a bank account that's quite sad. So one thing I've learned, I've personally found it really rewarding using up a product. It feels like you've put a little bit more hard work into it. So it's like that instant gratification of buying something where you get that little woo, that's exciting, versus, oh, I've actually used this up and I've got my value for money. And that, to me, I think it's a slightly different satisfaction, but it just shows that if you do dedicate yourself to using up your products, you can get quite a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's something that becomes a little bit addictive. The second thing I've learned, which is not applicable to everyone, is that I can create like videos on YouTube talking about my hobby without having to buy the latest thing. Now, again, if you're a creator or you like to review things or you like to post like stuff on Instagram or whatever it happens to be, you sort of get yourself into that habit of, I need to buy the latest thing to be relevant. And yeah, you can do that. It's really nice to see that you can create content and have a community that is interested in learning about makeup for the sake of makeup rather than what's the latest thing I can buy. The third thing is you gain a lot of insight into your makeup habits. So I know now what I will use on a daily basis and what I won't. I know that I can have the most colorful, fun textures of eyeshadow, and I will occasionally use them, but realistically, I now know what shades I will wear on a daily basis. I know what blushes I'm going to wear on a daily basis, what formulas. So it really shows you what makeup you actually sort of need to get by in your day. I still definitely respect the creative outlet that makeup gives you, and I love to play around here and there. But now I'm really aware when I go into a shop, what products will I use on a daily basis and which ones will I use just occasionally. The fourth thing I've learned is that you can make your makeup routine so much faster and easier if you use the same products every day. You sort of get into a bit of a rhythm. You don't have to think about, oh, which foundation am I going to use? Oh, does this work with this powder? You just know what works. You know how to slap it on your face. And I went from sort of taking maybe like half an hour, 40 minutes to do my makeup to doing the same look in like 15 minutes, maybe even less. So I just find that in my daily life, it's so much easier having a box or bag of makeup that I know how it applies. I know how it works together. I've done it dozens and dozens of times. And it just makes my life so much easier and my daily makeup wearing so much easier. So sometimes people ask me, how do you keep wearing makeup every day, especially if you're a mum of 2 little kids? And my answer is I just carve out like 10 minutes to do it, and I can be pretty quick with it. And I do think a lot of that comes down to not having to overthink which products I'm going to use. I just use my project pan stuff. The fifth thing that project panning has taught me is how to use products in an inventive way to use them up. So sometimes you might use a concealer and you're like, this is not actually a very good concealer. It's like not looking great under my eyes or whatever it happens to be. Project panning, you end up trying different ways to use it. So for example, I have used many concealers where I've used it almost like a base or a tinted base. I might mix it with a primer or a moisturizer, sort of sheer it out, or I use it as a color mixer with another foundation. I've found so many inventive ways to use up a product, and the good thing about it is sometimes a product that you don't like, you can actually like it in a different way. Maybe that eyeshadow you don't like, but as a highlighter, it's gorgeous. So project panning has really made me try to make products work before I declutter them. And I found some really cool products doing it that way. Something that I think is really handy to know that you can learn from project panning is how long it takes you to use up a product. Now, a lot that will vary with how you apply it, how often you apply it, all that kind of stuff. But it is really interesting to know your makeup habits. If you buy a new foundation, is it going to take you a year to use up because you barely use it? Is it going to take you 3 months to use up? Having that knowledge is very, very powerful because you can look at your makeup collection and go, okay, I don't need another lipstick because I've got probably about 20 years of lipstick to use up. And that's something that I remind myself whenever I look at a new lipstick. I'm like, look at your drawer. You've got plenty there. You know how long it takes you to use up a red lipstick. Spoiler alert, it's probably like 6 months. So do you need to have 50 of them? Probably not. And the last thing that I've learned from project panning is that if I'm consistent with my makeup usage, I can use over 50 makeup items a year, which means that I'm not wasting that money. I'm not wasting that product. It's not going to be decluttered or thrown away in a couple of years when it goes bad. I'm not going to feel like, oh, this money that I've spent on my collection has just gone to waste. So if you do feel overwhelmed by your collection or you feel like you've wasted a lot of money, like it is a great way to start getting use out of what you've got. I'm at the stage now where I probably only get like 20 to 30 new makeup products a year. Some of that is PR, some of that is stuff I buy, and I know that I use up over 50. So that is something that I know that every year my collection has been whittled down a little bit and is becoming a little bit more manageable, and I'm not wasting it, which is great. So looking back at my 10 years of project panning, that's the stuff that I've sort of taken away from it. It has changed my makeup habits a lot. It has changed my spending habits a lot. And it's just, I think, made me a little bit more aware, and I really enjoy doing it. It's a habit that I've formed that I don't want to get rid of anytime soon. In that tips video, I talk about sort of trying to form a habit and giving yourself room to sort of experiment. So there's ways that you can do it where you don't feel like you just shut out your whole makeup collection. But I see a lot more benefits than negatives from it. Absolutely. So if you project pan, I'd love to know your takeaways. What have you learned from project panning, whether you've been doing it for a month or two, whether you've been doing it for a year, whether you've been doing it for 10 years. Let me know. I'd love to know what you have taken away from doing it, and I'll chat to you in the comments. Big thank you to my members for supporting my channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.